Thank you so much for clicking on my video, you guys. I am Jacinta Mori Mpali Nkana, your transformational coach and spiritual counselor. To begin, Happy New Year 2020. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do, so that you can be the first to receive everything that I upload. A lot of goodies that I believe will help you let go of who you're not and live life on your terms. Now today I'm going to share what I believe is one of the most important messages for the new year. For actually not even just for the new year, for any life, for anybody who is expressing themselves in the human, in the human form. And that's to find out who you are, who is looking behind your eyes. And the way to do that is to let go of what you're not, of who you're not. And the way to do that is to find out who and what you're not. You see, so many people right now, coaches and counselors and transformational gurus, are sharing messages of how to move forward, how to succeed, how to earn a lot of money, how to keep pushing and keep going. And there is nothing wrong with that. But I'm also here to tell you that as a coach and counselor, if you are operating from a place of stories and negativity and programming, and if you are attached to all these stories and anger and sadness and judgment, that is exactly what you're going to perceive and experience in your world. Because there is no world out there except one that you perceive, define, and acquire and make your own. That's why they say that there is only one universe but millions of worlds. So what is in your world? What is dwelling inside you? What are you not? Because what is dwelling inside you doesn't make you who you are. What we are is the one who sees everything that comes and goes. What we are is the one who perceives. Actually, we are the ones who observe, the perceiver, the person who we have deceived ourselves to be, or who we have acquired. Somewhere, somehow, the ego has deceived us and narrowed us to just being human. Moreover, we are spiritual beings dwelling in human bodies. So we are not our bodies, we are not our experiences, we are not our stories, we are not our beliefs, we are not our minds, we are not even our spirits. We are beyond. As you can tell, all those things are ours temporarily to help us experience and express and transition through this world in the most comfortable way. Now I'm going to share a quick story that my mom recently told me, and this is really to help cement the fact of who you are is what you experience. So if you want to be successful, you have to go within and release and let go of all stories, beliefs, and attachments, and anything within you that could conflict with the manifestation of success, whatever that means to you. You see, before I tell you the story of last year, I sat back at one time just to evaluate what's going on in my inner world and what I was really perceiving and what was getting me to perceive things the way I perceived them. And I perceived a lot of judgment and anger and manipulation from other people and lies and impersonation. I perceived those things. One, I perceived those attributes in people because there is a part of me that understands and can define those attributes in people. But what I did is detach and exclude my attention from these attributes that I saw in people, because this information is already within us. This is our training. This is the society that we live in that has branded us into these egoistical beings. So the idea is to deny everything that brings you sorrow. We are so glad, by the way, that our feelings tell us what we are doing wrong or what is dwelling us from who we truly are, which is absolute peace, serenity, ongoing, zenness. So the idea is to retrieve your attention the moment you recognize it, and your subconscious, the work bee, is sending all these definitions, interpretations, and perceptions about what is in front of you. Watch it, become the awareness, become aware of it, and do not give it more of your attention, because the more we give these things our attention, let me tell you, the ego does not play. The ego literally takes over. Before you know it, you're dwelling on someone who has judged you, and you're playing the story inside your mind consistently, going back and forth and literally living in the past when the future is passing by. Actually, there is even no real future, because the future now is gone. There is the next future. So there is so much to catch up with, instead of dwelling on the story of someone who judged you, or someone you perceived as angry, or someone who impersonated themselves. So the idea is to really grab your attention with everything within you, so that you do not offer it and award it to things that not graduate you. All right, so let's continue to the story of the man who, I'll call the story the bucket of cash. So there was a man who moved into a remote village back in Africa. And it's just a riddle, it's a story, so I'm not sure if it's true or not, but there is a rationale behind the story, and I hope you get it. So this man was wealthy, he was very hardworking. He came and bought a piece of land in this village. He started, plowing the land and really harvesting amazing fruits, which, he sold these fruits and more money, had a chicken farm, became really successful, became the most successful person in the village. So all the members of the village, because they were lazy and they had a lot of anger and resentment within them, and they were so judgmental because they were suffering, they decided to make the life of this man so hard. I'll call him the bucket man, the bucket cash man. They started making his life so complicated, so hard. So they would throw stones at his house. They would go and pull out all his plants. At one point, they burnt his gardens, his plantations. They just made his life a living hell. But he denied all that his attention, because even the village chief was involved. He hated the fact that this guy was more successful than he was. The crab syndrome, wanting everybody to be like you. So what the man did was to continue investing and giving attention and focusing on progress and success, and releasing, of course, and letting go of all the actions and behavior of his village mates, his neighbors. So one day they just could not figure out why he did not react to their behavior. So they each got a bucket, and they cheated for lack of a better word, they cheated in the buckets. So they carried these buckets and put them outside his gate. So when you open that door, his gate, that morning, he found buckets, like hundreds of buckets of shit, of feces. So every village member had shitted in a bucket. So there were hundreds of buckets of feces outside his door. He thought to himself, okay, these people are definitely experiencing some very unpleasant, stories running at the back of their minds. Excuse me. So what he did was to get the buckets and go and dig a latrine and pour everything in there and cover it. And then he washed and disinfected the buckets, made sure that they were clean and cleaned completely, and put in plastic bags and filled the packets with fruits and money, and a bunch of money in each one of them, corn, fruits, money, a pair of shoes, and filled all those buckets with what he had. And then went and started distributing them to each household, took a bucket to each household. And these people gathered together that evening, and they were like, what is going on? We offered feasts to this man, and he gave us gold and money and fruits and crops and food and shoes. He filled our buckets with what he had. Oh my God, we are so ashamed. So they all gathered up and found their way to the bucket man, and they apologized. They said, we are so sorry for what we have done, but we want to find out, why did you give us all those goodies when we gave you feasts? And he said, well, what I have are the goodies: money, crops, fruits, extra shoes, and kindness. That's what I have inside me, and that's what I gave you. And what you have inside you is what you gave me. So that story explains that what we have inside of us is what we give out. So as you start on 2020 to plan and maybe put together a vision board or envision or set goals, find out what's inside you first. Find out who you're not. Do you have anger? Are you dealing with sadness? Are you dealing with resentment? Are you dealing with isolation and rejection issues? What stories are playing at the back of your mind? If you have all these stories playing at the back of your mind, it doesn't matter how much you want to manifest success, you are going to conflict your journey of success. You're going to continue paying attention to what derails you away from your true nature, which is peace and zenness. The idea is to become absolutely empty on a continuous basis, and to detach and let go of your attachment to the stories, beliefs, information, and data, and all these stories that are playing at the back of your mind. And also to sit in silence and examine everything that you know, because sometimes what we know is actually our poison. You know, we know things and we hold so tight onto the things, and then when we are presented with what we don't know, we resent what we don't know. We judge the people who have presented something different, and then we allow the ego to push us way further from who we are not, because who we are not is not judgmental people, angry people. And let me tell you this to compound this talk. Let me tell you that ego is one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful drillers, enemies we have as human beings. The ego we can use the ego if we transcend it. But as long as we still believe that all we are is human, that ego is going to smack, kick, turn you around, and get you for pivoting on your head. The ego does not play. It's always presenting ideas and information and stories to weaken you, soften your guard, and then rule you. Create separation between you and other people, get you to focus on outer gratification, really derail you from who you truly are. And overcoming the ego is a lifetime story. That's why they say in the Bible that Jesus is one guy that we should definitely respect because he overcame the world, meaning that he overcame the influence of the ego. If we overcome the influence of the ego and its manifestations, then we can let go of everything we are not, and then we'll realize that actually everything is always done for us. Everything is always working together for our good. And I want to inspire you today that if you're going through certain unpleasant experiences, just as I am, there are certain unpleasant experiences, I just want to remind you, as I also remind myself, that everything that dwells and comes within you has to go. Everything that comes must go. That is the law of nature. There is nothing permanent. Everything that has a beginning has an end. So instead of following it, going on with it, just become aware of it, observe it, and it will soon pass. Whatever is going on will soon pass. So just let it be. Let it be. Don't even let it go, because sometimes you're so bombarded and so burdened, and you have allowed this experience to take over your mind. Literally, you've given it all your attention. So the ego is recruiting all these negative emotions, all these stories, and linking up all sorts of baggage and garbage into your mind, and the things end up weighing you down. You end up walking with your head down. But I invite you to raise your head, look up, and let it be. Don't even let it go, because you may not have the strength to let it go. Don't give it more of your attention. Just observe whatever is brewing in your mind without defining it, without creating more stories about it, and very soon it will come to pass. All right, that's my New Year's message. Thank you so much once again for clicking on my channel. I am Jacinta Mori, your transformation coach and spiritual counselor. Now, come back to my channel. Actually, go through my channel, because last year towards the end, I recorded 21 days of denouncing everything that we are not, so that we can begin from a clean slate to create new realities. Actually, not even create new realities. Be open to the flow of life, and then discover the magic in every moment without attaching to anything, by being open to everything. Now, in the interim, I'm sending you abundant love from my heart to yours. Peace and blessings.